Hello friends, in the last videos we covered very clearly about top 10 exceptions, right? So now I want to explain there are two new features which came as the part of 1.7 version. Okay, in the 1.7 version of Java there are two new features came with respect to exception handling. Let me talk about these two very helpful features. Okay, the first ones are try with the resources. Second one came multi-catch block. Are you getting? Second one multi-catch block. These are two new concepts which came in the 1.7 version. Compulsory you people should have clear clarity about these things, right? Okay, so now the first concept what I have to discuss is try with the resources. So now what is the need of this concept? What is the advantage of this concept? So until 1.6 version, sir, what is the traditional way? What problems we are facing? So how these problems overcome by using try with resources? I will explain. Just observe carefully, sir. Do you know in the part of try block we are going to open several resources, maybe database connection or file resources or network related resources we are open at the part of try block. Sir, where we have to close these resources? Can you please tell? There is one special concept is there to close the resources which are open at the part of try block. What is that, sir? Finally block. Correct, right? Whatever resources we open at the part of try block, compulsory we require to close inside finally block. Okay. Now let me go for a small example until 1.6 version. What is the way? Here I open. I'm taking buffered reader br is equal to null. I'm taking, sir. Just I'm declaring buffered reader resource, buffered reader br. Now try in that, sir, br is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input dot txt. Like this I'm taking, sir. Okay, that's all. So I open reader for input.txt. Okay, now read the data, sir, based on our requirement, use br to read the data. Sir, just a pseudo code I'm telling, sir. That's all. I open br. What is the br, sir? Br means what? Buffered reader resource I created. I open buffered reader resource based on our requirement. Okay, use br to read the data. Now sir, any IO exception is coming. Any exception is going to come. Mostly we are performing IO operations. IO exception may come. Now here corresponding handling code I'm taking, sir. Corresponding handling code I'm taking. Catch. Sir, now try catch and then finally. Okay, inside finally block what I have to take is if br not equal to null. If br not equal to null, then br dot close. Can you please close buffered reader? That's all, sir. This is the style what we have until 1.6 version. Are you getting? Whatever the resource you open, that resource we closed where? Inside finally block. Okay, that's all it is. I don't think you are facing some difficulty to understand this one, sir. Okay, you won't feel any difficulty, any complexity to understand this one. Okay, but here I can tell there are two problems are there in this approach. I mean there are two problems are there in this approach. To overcome these problems we should go for try with the resources. Okay, like what problems are there, sir? Problem number one, sir, whatever resources we opened at the part of try block, compulsory we have to close where? Inside finally block. So we should close. If you are not going to close, one resource may be wasted. Regarding one resource may be blocked. Compulsory we require to close. So who is the responsible to close? Programmer only inside finally block. So means that you are keeping gun on the programmer's head, saying, hey, whatever resource you opened at the part of try block, compulsory you have to close. You should close inside finally block. So it is the mandatory activity to the programmer. Means that so compulsory, so complexity of the programming is going to be increases. Remember this? So we should do that activity extra. Complexity of the programming is going to be increases, right? Next, compulsory we should write finally block to close the resources. To close the resources, use and leave not going to work. So compulsory we should close each and every resource. Finally block you should write length of the code. Length of the code is going to increase. Length of code is going to increase. Readability by default will be down. Remember this one. Length of the code will be increases. Readability by default will be down. Okay. I hope it is very clear for you people. So you can easily understand this, right? Okay. Now to overcome these problems in 1.7 version, try with the resources concept came. Now immediately you may ask, sir, once I am showing the same example with the try with the resources, then how much benefit we are going to get because of this new feature, then you can able to understand. Very simple, sir. So the biggest advantage of try with the resources is, what the advantage is, whatever resources we open at the part of try block, we are not required to close explicitly. Automatically the resources will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. That is the biggest advantage of try with the resources. Remember the finally block we are not required to write. Then automatically complexity of the programming is going to be reduced. Length of the code is going to be reduced. Obviously readability by default is going to be improved, sir. Sir, can you please explain with an example? Same example with the try with the resources. Observe from 1.7 version. How my style of programming, sir? Very simple. Try. Here I am taking try block. Try block. Which resource you want? Okay. Buffered reader BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input dot txt. Input dot txt. Okay, like this I am taking, sir. Sir, try with resources. Do you know the syntax is something like try of R. Observe carefully, sir. Try of R like this. This R itself is resource. Okay, R itself is one resource. Resource, right? Now this total thing is treated as resource. Try, sir, within bracket buffered reader. Okay, now use BR based on our requirement. Based on our requirement. Based on our requirement. Okay, like sir, do you know we are not required to close BR explicitly. Once the control reaches end of try block, either normally or abnormally, either with exception or without exception, sir, once the control reaches end of try block, BR will be closed automatically. We are not required to close. Observe this one, sir. Once control reaches end of try block, automatically BR will be closed. Automatically BR will be closed, and we are not required to close explicitly. We are not required to close explicitly. Observe a bit very carefully, sir. So what is the biggest advantage of try with resources is, whatever resources you open at the part of try block will be closed automatically. We are not required to close explicitly. Okay, remember. Now I am taking, sir, catch block, sir, IO exception. If you are getting any exception, okay, can you please write the corresponding handling code. Sir, can you please confirm, is it required to write finally block? You respond, is it required to write finally block? No, because BR already closed. BR already closed. Once the control came to end of try block, either normally or abnormally, either without exception or with exception, some way, once a try block completed, then automatically, yes, the BR will be closed. Automatically, we are not required to close. Okay, so finally block in this scenario, we are not required to write. That is the biggest advantage of try with the resources. So first advantage, what the first advantage? We are not required to close resources explicitly. Complexity of the programming is going to be reduced. Regarding complexity of programming will be reduced. We are not required to write finally block explicitly. Our job automatically performed by try with resource syntax only. Complexity is not there. Next, we are not required to write finally block. Length of the code, length of code will be reduces. Length of the code will be reduced. Readability by default will be improved. Readability of the code by default will be improved. This is the advantage of try with the resources. Remember this. I hope everyone can able to understand, right? But n number of doubts you may have. Sir, what about these resources? Can I take multiple resources or not? Sir, somewhere I heard these are final. What it means? Like multiple things, multiple conclusions are there. Those things I will explain. But as of now, better to get basic idea what is the need of try with the resources. So until 1.6 version, we should close the resources which are open at the part of try block inside finally block. Complexity increases, length of the code is going to increase, readability will be down. To overcome this problem, try with the resources came in 1.7 version. What is the syntax for try with the resources? Try, this is the resource. The biggest advantage of try with resources is once a try block completed, automatically these resources will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. Clear? Are you getting right? So what advantages? So what is the advantage? What the problems with the old approach? What advantage with the new approach? So the things are very clear, not required to keep much explanation. Okay.